We're really excited to release this new thought leadership paper, and it's titled "What Next for the TV Advertising Market," and it really sort of focuses clearly on over the next sort of 5 years up to 2025, but in context really of probably the last 10 years actually, which has moved rapidly. We've had over 40 senior executives across the TV and video ecosystem, both in Europe and the US, which is fantastic to get both buy and sell side input. And there were four key and very consistent themes, interestingly, that came back. So the first one was actually how do we develop as a sort of a group and as an ecosystem in an industry, so technical solutions, standards, working practices, even around the emergence of the addressability market across different pools of linear and digital inventory, really critical because that's the next big bastion. Number two, and again, critical as well, is how do we transform the buy-side workflows to bridge the TV and digital, frankly, divide and drive automation, which is critical because what we're seeing is a massive increase in ad volume growth and ad versions, and how do we automate that? The third was how do we consistently apply data? Data is a big buzzword now, critical in terms of how the industry scales. And then underlying that, the measurement of data, again, critical, and trying to get those standards across that. And then the last area was really all about how do, again, as an industry, how do we come together? How do we collaborate? Maybe even how do we invest, co-invest to leverage the benefits of scale across the wider industry? So very consistent themes. But big chunky topics that we need to engage in.
So the promise of the new marketplace, if we address all of these priorities successfully, is extremely exciting. But I know something that a lot of executives are concerned about is just this enormous increase in complexity. How do workflows need to evolve to really take full advantage of the opportunities presented by addressability and data enablement and so on and so forth?
Yeah, this is a critical, I said, backbone really of the whole industry and the emergence of all these new channels. So let's take a step back. I mean, current systems do work and they work for today's world. I think the reality is it's very manual, and it's a well-known fact. There's a lot of manual handoffs about how assets get from a creative agency right the way through to the eyeball. And that's both on the buy and the sell side. There's also I guess for want of a term, a lack of a bridge between TV linear and digital. And there are challenges around, seamless reporting around what TV linear and digital do, what's worked and what hasn't. So that's frankly the state of affairs. Why does automation and technology need to evolve that to deal with all the emergence of new streaming channels across different devices? There's a whole bunch of stats out there that say that over the next 3 to 4 years, we're going to see a 7-fold increase, which is huge in terms of ad volume. And then if you layer on addressability on top of that, which is all around personalization of ads, so you're going to get different versions of ads, maybe up to 1,000 versions or more of one core ad that then turns into many, then you're going to see a massive acceleration of ad volume. So how do you deal with that? You have to deal with that through technology and automation. So it's really critical that you can bring together all these different channels, different assets, and see what the performance is doing all in one place. And that's a really critical thing to ensure that we can deal with the fragmentation and proliferation of channel and device, and manage that accordingly. And I guess in summary, if we don't do that, we can be as sophisticated as we like in terms of media targeting and all the excitement of how we get to various audiences. But if we're not understanding what's landed where, has it performed or has it not across channel, then all of that is pointless. So it is a real critical need. And I think what was reinforced with this paper was across both the buy and the sell side, there was a recognition that this needed to change, and automation technology can help drive that with the emergence of this big spike and a tipping point in change of ad volume is going to hit the marketplace.
And Richard, you're obviously talking to clients and businesses in the agency world all the time. What's your sense of where agencies today are on this journey towards retooling their workflows, factoring automation and so on and so forth? Are they just at the beginning, somewhere in the middle? Is it very varied? What's your sense of the landscape today?
It's varied. I think the honest answer, and don't forget, you've got a triumvirate here of technology platforms, you've got brand direct, and you've got agencies. So there is that triumvirate of alignment that has to happen. But I think what's happening, and we see it with our colleagues at NBC, we're already starting to see ad buys happening with literally, can you deliver this ad buy with 300 or 400 versions of an ad? So it's starting to happen. I think there's a recognition from the buy side, whether that be a brand or an agency direct, that things have to change. But also, and this is probably the harder thing, because technology is technology, it can solve problems. There's a behavior change that has to happen, because at the end of the day, as I mentioned up front, ads have got to eyeballs. It works, right? It's not necessarily broken, but I think the point is it has to evolve to deal with this emergence of scale now, and to unify this bridge between linear and digital in one. So it's work in progress, I would say, in summary.
If we successfully execute on these priorities, the future is presumably very exciting. What will look most different by the middle part of the decade if the buy side does transform in the way you're describing?
Well, I think at a high level, when you strip it all back, what does an advertiser or brand want? They want to make sure that they're delivering performance at the right investment. So I think through automation and understanding what has worked and what hasn't in more real time across channel, that in principle should mean a greater ROI across what is a fragmented channel base across the industry. So they will win out for sure. And guess what? Through technology, they'll drive that solution a lot more efficiently because of technology. And on the sell side, the benefits mirror exactly what happens on the buy side, because there is a lot of manual processes on that too. And guess what? Yield will increase, because advertisers will want to spend more money when things are performing against the right audience and right content. So all ships rise, importantly. So higher yield on the sell side, higher and better ROI on the buy side. So I think it's genuinely a win-win for both sides of the ecosystem.
So very clearly huge incentives for everyone to work together to make this a reality.
For sure.
Richard, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. We'll be exploring these topics in much more detail over the next few weeks with other executives across the market. And I'm hoping we'll hear from you again soon.
That's great. Thanks, John. Appreciate it.